Okay, let's talk about berberine. Berberine is one of my favorite ingredients, partly because it's unusual. You don't find it very often. You never find it in multivitamins, and you really don't find it as a combination. Berberine has been used in Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine for hundreds of years, maybe 1,000 years. And the reason for that is it's sort of a utility player. It has a number of different benefits within the cell. It's sort of like if you have a football player that can play wide receiver or cornerback and return punts. It's very useful in a number of different positions. There are nearly 5,000 papers published on PubMed right now about berberine because it's got so many areas of cell physiology that people are interested in and that it's effective in. For our purposes, the 4 areas that berberine is effective that we're interested in are detoxification, cell cycle arrest, apoptosis, and AMPK activation, which we also refer to as mitochondrial energy production. So let's talk about how berberine affects those core areas of cell function. So berberine helps with both cell cycle arrest and apoptosis. And just to review, cell cycle arrest is when your DNA becomes damaged and your cell realizes that it needs to stop replicating until the damage is repaired so that you don't accidentally replicate damaged DNA. Cell cycle arrest is sort of like pulling your car over when you get a flat tire. If you keep driving on a flat, you're likely to cause more severe damage to your car. But if you pull over, you can fix the flat and then it's safe to keep driving. That signaling process to stop replicating until the damage is repaired, that's called cell cycle arrest. And berberine supports that process within the cell. Apoptosis is what happens when the DNA damage is too severe to repair. When that happens, it's very important to take the cell out of circulation to keep it from damaging the surrounding cells. In other words, if your cell is basically making the executive decision that it needs to end its own life for the good of the community. And the community in this case is you, your body. That cell has become dangerous because of the damage in your DNA. And if you let it keep replicating, it's going to hurt you. So the cell is basically committing suicide. And there are numerous complicated signaling pathways that make sure apoptosis happens as planned. That's not a rare event, by the way. About 60 billion cells commit apoptosis every day in your body. So that's maybe 0.2% of all the cells in your body that commit apoptosis every single day. So this is a process that has to happen in a properly coordinated fashion. The most interesting thing about berberine is that it activates the AMPK pathway. That pathway is a huge research focus among anti-aging scientists. The reason is the AMPK pathway is crucial for mitochondrial energy production. And anything that we can do to boost the power output of our mitochondria is good for our cells' long-term health. So if you've ever heard of the medication metformin that diabetics use, that medication has been used since the 1950s for treating diabetes, but over the last 15 years, it's gained a ton of interest because of its activation of the AMPK pathway. There are dozens of trials going on right now with regard to the use of metformin to prevent or treat cancer, and it's also being studied as perhaps the first anti-aging drug. One of the reasons for all that interest is that metformin activates this pathway that we're talking about. As it turns out, berberine also activates the AMPK pathway. And in fact, in Asian and Ayurvedic traditions, berberine is used to treat high blood sugar, to modulate blood pressure, to improve heart function, what we call cardiac output, and of course for liver detox.